Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ambassador, it's an honor to have you here today. I appreciate the courtesy of a private meeting with you recently, and I want to publicly, for the record, applaud your career. I know you've raised your kids abroad. You probably saw your mother much less than you would have liked through your career, but we're here today. I just applaud your career and thank you for being here and for being willing to take on this new responsibility. I'd like to move to the global security crisis that we talked privately about. You know, I see it on three levels. One, we've got a power vacuum out there that has created a rise again of these power rivalries, China and Russia. We saw another power vacuum in Iraq, into which ISIS has stepped and created all sorts of problems in Syria, Iraq, and several other countries in the region and in sub-Saharan Africa. And then, of course, now the Iran nuclear deal that, as you well said privately and I think just now, that it's all in the implementation. I'd like to focus on Syria. I know we've got talks coming up tomorrow. What are the prospects of those talks? And are you concerned that in your new role, I mean, are you concerned about Iran being a part of the dialogue this early in the conversation, and also Russia, as far as I can see? I mean, Bashar al-Assad has been propped up by Putin and by Khamenei. Without their help, he would have been gone, in my opinion, a long time ago, and he would not have had the wherewithal to continually barrel bomb his people and gas his own people. So are you a little concerned about having the arsonist, you know, trying to help put the fire out in these talks this weekend?
No, thank you very much, Senator. And again, I'm very grateful for your willingness to see me and to talk about these issues. As Secretary Kerry, I think, noted in his testimony here, and I know as Assistant Secretary Patterson and General Allen noted, you know, our objectives in Syria remain degrading and defeating ISIL, fostering a negotiated political transition, and helping Syrians lay the foundation for a free and pluralistic future, but a future without ISIL and without Bashar al-Assad. In this regard, Secretary Kerry—
I'm sorry, is it still the administration's position, in your understanding, in your role as counselor, is it still our position that Bashar al-Assad has to go? Is that a prerequisite for this?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Secretary Kerry, in his effort to fashion a global response to events in Syria, as he said, trying to chart a course out of hell, he has determined that there is a moment in time in which it is important to bring together major players and actors to address events inside of Syria. Part of this process builds off of earlier processes, such as the meetings in London and Geneva. But the insertion of Russia and Iran in a very aggressive way in Syria has also created a different kind of dynamic. The Russian and Iranian presence or support for Assad is nothing new, but the Russian military presence and airstrikes is something new. The presence of Iranian troops and special forces is something new and worrisome. And for this reason, the Secretary thought it was time to bring everybody together and effectively call their bluff, determine whether or not their commitment to fighting, their public commitment to fighting ISIL and terrorism is a meaningful one, and the extent to which they are prepared to work broadly with the international community to convince Mr. Assad that during a political transition process he will have to go.
So you, as you stated earlier, you've got, I think you said, you've got great experience in post-conflict societies. So is it possible that Iran would support a secular government after Bashar al-Assad prospectively leaves?
I don't know the answer to that question, sir, and I think we're only going to determine whether or not that is possible by engaging. You know, our engagement is not going to affect our intent or our purpose. We are hopeful that we can establish an environment in Syria where we can address the underlying political problems and allow the Syrians to determine their future, and to do it in a way in which they're not responding to Iran or to Russia.
I'm almost out of time, but I do want to